to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United versus Leicester Tactics debrief. We did this last season. We'll be doing it this season. Really looking forward to it because we delve into what went right, what went wrong with Manchester United last night. And it was a game that was perfect for the rights and the wrongs that were out there. We'll also be talking about Paul Pogba's cryptic message he put out after the match last night. Hashtag Pogba feelings, he called it. We're talking about that in a couple of minutes' time. But let's start off with the big thing I was looking for last night. We did play the 4-3-3. I'm a big fan of 3-5-2. I think United play more expansive that way. We went 4-3-3, which was a hark back to last season where we did sit back and we don't press and we give up possession and we keep very compact and organised. And we didn't really concede that many chances, but we do invite the pressure. And we did do that to a certain extent last night. But the big thing I wanted to start off first of all was the Pogba-Sanchez scenario that last season, as I say, we've got the two players there and they get in the same areas and hurt each other's game quite a lot. What did we see last night? Well, when we look at the heat map, Paul Pogba's heat map was mostly here. So he was mostly in that area that Sanchez would normally be wandering into as well. But interestingly, Sanchez's heat map was all there. So there was discipline from Sanchez keeping to that left area there. My colour and Ian's rubbish. No wonder I got a D in GCSE. But there is a slight crossover, but there was far more discipline from Sanchez clinging to that left-hand side. And the problem of last year, where they come into the same area, wasn't so prevalent. However, there is really something we should discuss here. Alexis Sanchez didn't have a game last night. I think his passing success rate was around 65%, which some people may say is quite good. But when you think Marcus Rashford's pass success rate was 85% and he didn't have a great game, so was Matter's 85%, Luke Shaw's was even 85%, and Sanchez 65%. For a top-level footballer to have a successful pass rate of 65% is pretty shocking. So Sanchez, although he did what many people wanted him to do, which is cling that left-hand side, he didn't have a very good game with it. No shots on goal, no shots on target. And Pogba, although Pogba was operating in the area we would expect him to predominantly, he was quite defensive, wasn't he? Especially after that sort of first half of the first half. So watch this space with the Pogba-Sanchez dynamic. I personally would have got Martial on last night. Jose Mourinho said he wanted to get Martial on last night, but he couldn't do it. Kieran Burns saying Sanchez was awful. Sanchez needs to sort his touch out, says Bryn MCM. Look, at the end of the day, Alexis Sanchez is still doing what a lot of Arsenal fans, we called them moaners, but a lot of Arsenal fans said this. He tries too many sexy passes. He tries too many impossible passes. Instead of just keeping it simpler. We saw that last night with Alexis Sanchez. He didn't play the right sort of pass enough for me, and that was a little bit of a concern. But it's early days. It's still the start of the season, and obviously a lot of that can get sorted out as the season develops and goes forward. Next, I just want to have a quick touch on Marcus Rashford. Now, the interesting thing about Marcus Rashford is when you look at Rashford, Mata and Sanchez, there was only one shot off our front three in the whole evening. And that obviously tells you a problem. That was Mata's shot, which actually looked like it was a handball and definitely a corner, but and may have been going in the bottom corner, but it was counted as off target. I don't want to talk about the negatives about the match last night too much because it is the opening day of the season, and I think the reason, as I said last night, that United really struggled attacking wise, and that is evidenced by the fact that we had one shot across our front three. That's appalling at home, and we still scored 2 goals, but it just shows you how redundant the front three were. The question is, why were the front three so redundant? Was it because of the midfield like last season? Was it because of the defence like last season? Actually, I think the blame goes to the front three last night. I thought Pogba had a good game, I thought Fred had a good game, and I thought Pereira was immaculate. So you've got to say the front three were at fault. And a lot of that comes down to Alexis Sanchez. A 65% successful pass rate is abysmal. You'd expect that in the Vauxhall Conference, and it's not even called that anymore. Mata, not quick enough. I mean, Mata's average heat map, when you think that Sanchez's heat map was here, Mata, let me just get this right, Mata's was like this. Here. So he's way back compared to Sanchez. Playing too deep because Chilwell was their real threat going forward like that. So Mata, way too deep, not got the pace, not going to cause a lot of hurt. But Rashford, of most interest, when you look at Marcus Rashford, his best heat map, and it wasn't that warm, was here. That was Rashford because he was playing as a right wing back at one point. There's nothing from Rashford around these areas, which is what you want to see. So United last night, Marcus Rashford is an incredible athlete but doesn't have the brain for football yet. Hopefully his decision making improves though, says Matthew McFadden. And I would agree with that. I think that in relation to Marcus Rashford last night, Him and Sanchez were probably the two reasons that United struggled, and the reason United did sit back a lot, and the reason United didn't press, and the reason United didn't move the ball very well in the final third. Rashford just got bullied by Morgan and Maguire, and didn't, no shots, no real hold-up play, and Sanchez was wasteful, and Mata was playing too deep. So there's your answer why United struggled last night. The front three really didn't do their job, and I'm not going to say it was difficult circumstances for them, but I would have expected a little bit more from one or two of those players in a game of this magnitude, which we did manage to get over the line. And it's important when we're talking about that we get over the line that we bring in Luke Shaw. If we can find Luke Shaw, there he is. Now, what I liked, Leicester got unlucky, but good luck for season, says LCFC Boyer. Well, thanks for that as a Leicester fan. But Luke Shaw, when you're talking about passing, successful, 85%. But when you're talking about Luke Shaw's heat map, what I liked about Luke Shaw's heat map is that it was pretty much this area here. Now, when I say that Matters was more like that, you can see that Luke Shaw is making far more progress as a left back than Mata is as a right forward, effectively. And again, it's that is the real key. It's that up and down, left-sided, left footer. And when you've got Ashley Young in that position, when he gets here, he wants to cut in and hit it with his right foot. You can't get a better advert of a left foot player scoring a goal like that. It's only going to go in from a left footer, and that's the winning goal. And it was the winning goal because at the time it was 2-0, but it would have gone 2-1. So Luke Shaw, whatever you think about his performance, and a lot of people wanted to give him man of the match, he actually won us that game being a left footer, and I think that's really important. I mean, I still think we should have got Alexandro, but it's very early days, and we're going to have to take each game as it comes with Manchester United at the moment, because that's the way it is. Now let's bring in this Paul Pogba message here, because I know a lot of people will be wanting to know what was said. So, Paul Pogba said last night, "I'll always give my best to the fans and my teammates no matter what's going on." So I'll always give my best to the fans and my teammates no matter what's going on. #Pog feelings. So I'll always give my best to the teammates and the fans no matter what's going on. That's quite interesting. No mention of the club, no mention of the manager. People are reading into that as there's been issues. Some people want to jump to a conclusion that... Well, I want to get some of your comments on this, but some people are jumping in to that. And please do drop a like on the video, as Antonio has as well. That means that there is an issue with Pogba and that he might leave Manchester United. There was some scaremongering this season over the off-season, that Pogba would leave Manchester United. And I'm sure there's definitely interest from teams like Barcelona. But there is absolutely no chance that Manchester United are going to sell Paul Pogba. It's just not going to happen. And even more so after last night. I mean, you look... Pogba and Fred ran out of fuel, in the words of Mourinho. McTominay and Fellaini come on. With all due respect, we become a static bus when those two players come on. And they have their place, but they're not as dynamic and they're not as exciting as that midfield I saw last night. And Matic isn't either. And Herrera doesn't have what Fred and Pogba have. So, for me, that midfield three last night of Pogba, Fred and Herrera, I think it should be our midfield three. I think they've got to play against Brighton and they've got to be forced out of the team when they play badly. If they play well, they must play. And I know Matic is a favourite of Mourinho, but they're absolutely fantastic, those three. I like the perseverance when they go and get the ball. I like the movement of the ball. Not everything comes off, but they want to move the ball quickly. They're tenacious, they're athletic, they're mobile. I like all three of them, and what a contrast to that static, slow, tall midfield of last season. Pogba saying, "I'll always give my best to the teammates and the fans," is a very clever message from Paul Pogba, because you are playing to your teammates, which obviously is very important when you're playing football, and you're playing to the fans who are the lifeblood of the club. What about the club and what about Mourinho? Well, look, Mourinho and Pogba aren't suddenly going to be, popping off down Nando's tonight and having a little bit of dancing down reflex afterwards. They are manager and player, and there are enough hints out there. And Pogba said towards the end of last season, "I don't have much of a relationship with the manager. He drops me, I don't play. I play. I respect the manager, but there's no close relationship there." Mourinho spoke about him after the World Cup and was like, I hope he now understands why he's a good player. He's not listening to me. So they haven't resolved anything. But I think they will resolve things over time. Mourinho, very, very positive about Pogba this week. Pogba given the captaincy and very happy on the pitch last night. So I think what Pogba's saying is, look, whatever's going on, I'm always going to give the best to the fans and my teammates. But there are bridges to mend between Mourinho and Pogba. And maybe Pogba is looking at Barcelona and going, look at the football they play. I can win a Champions League there. I'm going to be more relaxed there. That's maybe where he wants to go. That I'm not got a problem with that. I haven't got a problem with that, and it might not even be true. But most players, wherever they are, will have a better thing. Don't tell me that Lukaku's not thinking I'd like to be leading the line for Real Madrid. That doesn't necessarily mean he does, but I wouldn't have a problem if he did. That is the footballer, and some people want to be at United. Harry Maguire last night, I'm sure he was looking across at the shirts in red and went thinking that could have been me. That's just the way it is. But there's a world of difference between wanting something and doing it. And Pogba's not going to leave Manchester United, and I think that, as I said last night, the positivity that Jose Mourinho showed in his reaction to the goals and what he said after the match last night, there's glimpses of how I want us to play. Pereira was amazing. Luke Shaw got a real good going positivity as well. The fact that he said that, I've not been backed in the market and it is going to be difficult, but we're going to give it our best shot. All the right things were said. He spoke about Martial. I wanted to get Martial on the pitch there, so there's no legacy of Martial not even being on the bench. He's on the bench and he's saying publicly that he wanted to get him on the pitch. So there's lots and lots of positives around Manchester United at the moment. However, what a great feeling to have as a fan base, because when you look at that result last night, what I wanted to say about it is that let me just get rid of Luke Shaw for a minute. When you look at the Manchester United performance last night, I would say that we spent much of the game as a unit like that, with Leicester over us, and we're in that area there. We're at home. That sort of area you would expect to be away to Barcelona, sitting back and soaking up the pressure and hoping to hit on the break. At home to Leicester, you don't expect Manchester United as a team to be pretty much in their own half. And if you haven't seen the fan cams, click the eye in the top right hand corner. They went up late last night. There are fans who were at the game last night who were saying Mourinho shouldn't be given a new contract if he wasn't going to get backed. It's good to get the 3 points, but an average performance. And and then you've got some people saying, there's things to build on there. So make sure you watch the fan cams, because that's people at the ground talking. But because they see things that we don't see if we're watching it on the TV. Everybody's got an opinion. And I can see both sides, but I choose to be positive because we've got another week now where people can get back match fit. I think Lukaku makes such a big difference to our team. If you had Lukaku last night and you're hitting balls, I love the way Lindelof was coming out from the back and then finding passes to Sanchez or to Shaw. That doesn't happen unless you've got Lindelof in the team. In fact, Lindelof's heat map was more here. Bailly's heat map was more here, because Bailly was doing a lot of defending, last-ditch tackling, but Lindelof on the ball was more advanced, looking for these passes in and here and here. Pereira basically patrols this area fantastically well. Fred had a good game in that position and Pogba there. But where United struggled, and Sanchez to a certain extent and Mata to a certain extent, they want to put balls into here. Pereira will do it as well. Fred wants to do it. Sanchez wants to do it. Get moving on. Mata wants to be moving in. This person here was Marcus Rashford last night, and he didn't hold the ball up. And if you've got Lukaku there, who is an absolute powerhouse and has pace as well to spin in behind, then all those 5 players, Pereira here, Fred, Pogba, Sanchez, Mata, they can knock the ball into there and know they're going to get a ball back, which can be expansive and bring United into these areas that last night we really just didn't do. So Lukaku makes Manchester United a much better player. And Bailly was a beast, says Rab Nation. Sanchez was okay with his passes in the second half. I think Mourinho wanted to get Martial, but I look forward to the Brighton game because that is an away game. We will have a fit Lukaku and United will be a different team. And the reality is we won that game 2-1. And yeah, Leicester at times were a better team and we did gift possession, but defensively we did quite well. Yes, Vardy missed a sitter before he scored the goal, but I still think we would have got 2-1. De Gea made a couple of world-class saves. You look at the echoes to last season. De Gea making world-class saves, United gifting possession, United not pressing the ball, United not creating many chances. They're all echoes of last season, and that's where people are like, this could go one way or another. But then you look at what things from... I choose to look at what wasn't there last season. A left-back with a left foot, bombing up and down. We played with Darmian. With all due respect to Darmian, I'm not going to criticise him because there was nobody else, but he wasn't very good last night. Get a proper right back, whether it's Valencia or Dalot pushing him, that makes us stronger there. Lindelof and Bailly playing together. Let's see if he plays them against Brighton. I don't want to see Phil Jones coming back. I don't think Smalling comes back because he was fit and he was on the bench. I don't want to see Phil Jones coming back. I want to see Lindelof and Bailly building a partnership. Yes, they're going to make mistakes, but play them for 10 games. Then that midfield, Pereira, Fred and Pogba compared to McTominay, Fellaini and Matic, which we saw last season. What a contrast. That's got to play more. Sanchez was atrocious. Can he play like that again? I don't think so. So he can only get better. Mata's got to be Lingard. Lingard's got to play in the position. If you'd had Lingard last night, there's no way Chilwell would have had the freedom of that left flank. Lingard has got the pace and the work ethic to go with him. That would have made a big difference. And also Lingard's got the pace to get forward, which Mata couldn't do. I think Lingard has got to grab that right midfield position and make it his own. Don't want him anywhere near the midfield like he played for England. And then obviously the big one, Marcus Rashford becomes Lukaku. So we become a stronger team and we still won 2-1. And I think last night there was echoes of last season, but there was also glimpses of what this season could all be about. And you talk about winning the title. I said last night, don't judge United in August, don't judge United in September, judge them in October, because that's where it normally goes wrong, unless it goes wrong before then. Jose Mourinho said judge us in November, let's see where we are then. And he's right. Let's not run away with it. We've got to take every game as it comes. But there was an element of last night that was a little bit lucky. There was a little bit of luck last night because we played with the number 9 who couldn't play that position, which totally pushed everybody back and made us quite a defensive team. You got Lukaku holding the ball up and we would have been more expansive. But we still got 3 points against the Leicester team that I guarantee are going to finish mid-table. And Jose's right. Leicester spent more than us. West Ham spent more than us. Fulham spent more than us. Everton spent more than us. These are all mid-table teams spending more money than Manchester United, and the good thing is that hopefully those teams are going to be more competitive, and they're going to give not only us tougher games, but the likes of the other top 6 tougher games, which makes the league far more expansive, far more interesting, and far more open. If teams can take points off Man City and Liverpool and Spurs, and we can keep grinding out the results, we are the masters of grinding out results. Pretty football's great, and pretty football worked well last season. But what if this league suddenly becomes a lot more competitive? Is pretty football going to win you all the points again? It might do, but actually being good defensively is going to help. And we are a good defensive team. We just need to be a little bit more expansive as well. And what a great situation to be in. It's the Premier League, the weekend of the Premier League. We've got 3 points on the board because we played on Friday night. We can sit back, match of the day, couple of beers, cup of tea, whatever, hobnobs and a pair of slippers, whatever does rock your boat on a Saturday night, and watch the opening weekend of the season knowing that we've got 3 points. And I know Jose quite rightly wasn't happy that we were playing on Friday night, but what a situation now. 3 points done, completed this weekend of the opening weekend, and we sit back and watch everyone else. So I'm quite positive about that. Chong would have done better than Mata and Sanchez, says Moses. I think that's a bit of a big statement, but I sort of get where you're coming from. Shout out for India, says Chief Leaf Gamer. Pogba's not going to stay in United, says Ilya. He'll leave at some point, but there's no way we're going to sell him in August. Can you imagine what happens if Manchester United sold Pogba in the next 4 weeks? There would be absolute mayhem, and it's something that I would certainly be backing on the United stand, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, but it would be really, really just not going to happen. Very impressed by Bailly, says Nini Minters. He was fantastic last night. He was my man of the match. I'm happy that Luke Shaw got man of the match, but I would have given it to Eric Bailly. Remember tonight, it's Saturday Night Live at 8 o'clock, and it's massively interactive with the live comments. That's what we do on a Saturday night. So we'll see what news develops, some of the results from today, maybe delve into the Pogba thing a little bit more, but it's fast-paced and it's all about the live comments. What we saw with Darmian last night is what we will see with Young this season, said Jamie. Well, the great thing about that, Jamie, is that up until the goal, I thought Luke Shaw's performance was okay. And I thought, what has he done to stop Ashley Young coming back into that team? After the goal, and people giving him man of the match, Ashley Young's back fit. If he drops Luke Shaw for Ashley Young next week, United fans are not going to be very happy. But Ashley Young is going to be fit. He's fit. He's just training. He's only because he's only come back to training now. So Luke Shaw's got to play against Brighton. Pereira's got to play against Brighton. He's got to do that. If he doesn't do that, then he's going to upset fans, and he's going to upset momentum, and he's going to upset players. Jose's got to go into this season now with a great performance last night where people have really stepped up to the plate. I'm sure last night Mourinho would have loved to have played Valencia, Young, maybe Jones, certainly Matic, Lukaku, Lingard. He wanted to play those players, but he couldn't because they weren't match fit. But players who stepped in, like your Luke Shaws and your Pereiras especially, they stepped up to the plate and they got him 3 points in a tough game. They should be rewarded now. And those players like Young and Matic, if they are fit for Brighton or Spurs, should be having to wait for those players to drop off a little bit. And that's what you should do, because Mourinho's got to keep the squad on side. He hasn't got the players that he wants, so he's got to keep this squad happy, because he's going to have to rotate it. He's going to get injuries. So the best thing Mourinho can do is be positive about this squad, whether it's the players he wants or not. He's got to be positive and he's got to keep it happy. And I think there are good signs that will happen. Lingard will make a difference, says Mickey McCullough. I think put Lingard in that right midfield position instead of Mata will make a massive difference. Yeah, so we're back at 8 o'clock tonight live with the Saturday Night Live show, and I'm sure there'll be something we can talk about. Rojo didn't go. Jose should put Young on the right wing, says Alexander. I mean, Ashley Young at right back would have been nice last night, to be totally honest with you. Rashford is overrated and bang average, says Graham Doonan. Look, I think in relation to Rashford, Alexis Sanchez, Darmian, anybody who had a bad game last night, it's the first game of the season. Anybody who had a good game last night, it's the first game of the season. Let's just take the 3 points. Let's take the positive points. Because as I said before the game last night, this could be as good as this season gets. What if we go to Brighton next week and we play rubbish and get beat, and then Spurs come and beat us? We've got 3 points from 9 and there is a meltdown. So this could be as good as it gets. I don't think it will be. I think there are positive signs and I think we will build on it, and let's take every game as it comes. But for now, I think let's stick with the positives. We know what the negatives are. We know what happened in the transfer window, but let's try and stick to the positives. Rashford wasn't good last night. I personally think that Rashford... I was over the moon when he got given the number 10 shirt, but I did agree with a lot of United fans who were saying, what has he done to deserve such an iconic shirt? And last night, he certainly did, it looked baggy on him. We need Marcus Rashford. And I think as an impact player from the bench, he makes a big impact. But he needs to be able to play from the start, because if Lukaku gets injured, he's going to be playing up front. And last night, he got bullied by 2 Leicester centre-backs and was hardly in the game. So he needs to work hard. But it's a double-edged sword, because I think Rashford gets better as a number 9 if he plays more games, which potentially means he should probably be loaned out to another Premier League club. But we can't afford to do that, and we're not going to do that. So, but Rashford has the potential to be fantastic. But last night, he wasn't. But it's a long season, and I'm sure we'll see the best of Rashford again. I've got not any concerns with that. And the same with Sanchez. He looked poor like he did last season, but he has had a summer off. He's talked the talk. I think he will walk the walk, and it could be next week against Brighton. So let's see what happens with that. Please do drop a like on the video. Let's see if we can get 500 likes whilst we are live. And I also just want to say that if you are, well, it is the opening day of the weekend of the transfer window. Don't want to go back there. It's the opening Premier League weekend Saturday. So if you are having a bet, remember, if you're over 18, you've got to be over 18 to gamble, and please do gamble responsibly. But BetBull is the app to use if you're thinking about putting an accumulator on today. BetBull is the place. You've got loads of people you can sort of research and have a look there. You've got the percentage on how good they do on their accumulators. As you can see, nearly 5,000 was shared by 39 people who jumped on this guy's ACCA. So BetBull is the app for that. It's available on Android and iOS. And if you are having a bet today and you just fancy jumping on an accumulator, or you want to set your own account up and start getting people following you if you think you're good at it, BetBull is the place to go. Get your bets on today for the opening weekend. Really looking forward to it. Let's see what happens with everybody else over the weekend. And get yourself on the BetBull app and have a little bit of a bet. Some really good people to follow there with really high success rates. So you're not gambling alone, are you? You can have your little footy bet with other people who put a lot of work and effort into their accumulators. So link in the video description for that. Give it a go. I won a little bit of money last night. I just went for Manchester United outright win. It wasn't huge odds, but I was 100% confident we would win last night. I think I went 3-1 and we won 2-1, so I was close. So I'll have had a close point from Super Brews, whoever's in our Premier League predictor as well. If you want to get on the Premier League predictor, you still can do it. Although you missed the United game, you can still enter. There's a load of games today, and you can easily catch up. If you want to do that, I think the Super Brew link for that was on yesterday morning's show, which was the preview for Leicester, wasn't it? The preview for Manchester United Leicester, which will be on the video somewhere. That's got the link for our Super Brew Premier League Predictor League, which is free to enter. So thanks everyone for watching. We are back tonight at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that, getting your questions. Have a great Saturday with top of the league for the next few hours. And we've got 3 points. And I choose to look at the positives, but I hope you enjoyed the Tactics show. Drop us a like if you did. I like having a look at the especially where players are moving around and where the issues were. And I think last night, because it was a defensive game, some people want to be defensive about it, but the reality is the front three didn't perform last night, and that's why we didn't create chances, and that's why they only had one shot on goal between them, which isn't good enough. So the front three have got to do better. That's my school report from last night. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon, back at 8 o'clock.